We have a lot of constraints as a council. Uh, this sand mining is a problem. We really wanted the select committee to address this because some international contractors will be given contracts, and they are using some of our sand on their constructions, and which is very vital for the taxpayers. We should at least be responsible of the sand mining. Secondly, the equalization grant is very, very important. We should be equal in giving us these grants. KMC cannot have 2 million, then KTR has 1 million, which is which is not fair at all. We should have the same grant as we are all under the same government. Uh, Secondly, we are appealing to the committee to help us. At least most of the industries or banks are relying in the combos or lying there. So we are appealing to the community, to the committee, if they can help us to divert some industries or banks or any other investors to come and establish in the provinces so that it will boost our revenue and other benefits. Last but not the least, that is the interministerial collaborations. What I mean in this, because I have understand that most of the projects from other ministries are coming down to our LGA. And at least what I'm saying here is, if a project is coming from agriculture or any other department, let them liaise with the councils, because every ward has a councillor in the council. And if a development is going to a particular ward, it's very, very important for the council or the councillor to be involved. I'm begging the committee to do this inter-ministerial collaboration for meaningful development, because we usually have those things here, whereby a project will come without even the knowledge of the councillor or the council. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, that project will not last long, because nobody is there, an authorized body is not there to monitor or to supervise that project. So we are appealing to you guys to help us. Any project that is coming to our LGA should come at least through the council, or they inform us so that we can at least try to supervise that project to make it sustainable and at least be useful to our people. Thank you very much.
$48 million with GAMWorks. However, your counterpart contribution is 3.5 million, and you paid 2.4 million. What plans do you have in place to enable you complete the rest of the payment?
revenue, revenue base, which will allow us to generate revenue and to apply back to taxpayers. So, and also we are depending on government when they pay us our car park. So that's the bulk payment we have so that we can chip in again. But for us, we find it very difficult because here there is no commercial engagement, which will pay at least even more than $10,000. Yeah, we are very unfortunate. That's our plan. But still, we are engaged with partners like UNDP and Action Aid to see how they can help us to acquire, even without paying directly to us, but they can pay direct to GAMOX. GAMOX, that's our plan also. Yes, we are satisfied.
Councils or in our various constituencies or wards, people has to be involved, because if people are not involved, the sustainability aspect of those projects is always a question mark, because the ownership, people will not be willing to take the ownership, and the moment they don't take the ownership, then they all claim that this is government property. You understand? This is why most of the time, especially in the rural Gambia, the sustainability aspect of most of the projects is always a question. You understand? So my other question will now goes to like considering the size of the revenue base that you people have, what is the strategic alliance to boost your development agendas?
We as a council, we have discussed with UNDP, and then when these people were around also, they came as a newly elected. He went and lobbied my chairman through the embassy or the representative of EU. So we write a proposal to them to sell it to them so that we can see how we can implement our desired goals for taxpayers here. This is our problem. UNDP is also our partner. Yes, it's also our partner who is willing to help us. Yes.
Trying to build a hostel where we're going to lodge justice. From there, we're going to get revenue. And also, we're going to build more canteens. See, we're going to build canteens at Lemenkoto and other areas that also will boost, and Panjan that also will boost our revenue base. And we are strengthening our internal control also to close the leakage of revenue losses that can really boost our revenue basis. Thank you.
This inter councils business plan, because we have to engage one another. Because if you look at BCC, they have more revenue than us. So I think we can collaborate in order to help each other to boost our own revenue base. And also, if we are also planning to have this inter-twins council, whereby we will also be having international relationship with other councils in order to boost our revenue. Yeah, thank you.
Councils, you learn from each other's benchmark. That will also help you in at least addressing some of the issues that you have within your area council. Okay, my other question will be, what mechanisms are you people putting in place to overcome some of the challenges that you just made mention here? What are some of the mechanisms that you are trying to put in place to overcome some of the challenges that you just mentioned here?
On some of our shortfalls. So to develop a strategy, one of it is like what my CEO said, the cattle tax, which was taken from us. We're going to engage the line ministry, our ministry. We're going to engage them to help us so that cattle tax can come. Because CRL, we have more cattle than any other region. And also, now development partners concentrate on CRL. Right now, we have more roads. These road contractors, we are following them to give us to pay license, because the quarry and the sand they are mining are our mineral resources. They should pay something. It's only Gambia. You see, the contractors they are mining natural resources. They don't pay anything. We are following this thing with the line ministry to make sure that we have this revenue from them. And those are the strategies we're going to work. We're going to engage our ministry. We're going to strengthen our internal control. We're going to tap to many partners, either here or outside. Thank you very much.
In that, when we challenge these people, the road constructions from Same, RSP, from Same to Pasamasi, we went through them and then we charged them according to the Lansing 92.01 and Lansing Act, and it's been gazetted and approved by our minister. By then it was per Tamba. Then they are supposed to pay. But all of a sudden, when the engagement went too long, we were asked to go there. And we thought that when we go, we'll find this money with them. Unfortunately, they gave us a letter that they have waived everything for them from Ministry of Finance since the inception of the project planning. the letter was sent to us. The letter is even with me here, that they should not pay any tax exempt. And what they are using our royalties, this sun and mine, they are causing some problem for our environment. And secondly, the indigenous citizens there in the villages, yeah, some of them, their farmlands have been eroded, and there was no compensation to them. If at all the council cannot have anything from them, but let them compensate the villagers around where they use this sign mining and gravel mining, because they are intruding those people their land. And whenever the project is finished now, they are in the URRN now, so they leave the open spaces. And when there is rain season, our kids will go there, some will even die. Environmental disaster. So I'm appealing to the select committee, let them look that. If at all there is no payment in the council, but the quarry they are using, let them in the villages have something there. This is my.
What you are saying is right, but at least when hazardous that they are living within our communities is serious.
They gave us. Yes, even more than, we can even manage, even if the decentralization happens to take place, we can manage. There is no doubt about that.
Also, yeah, we just feel that government is running away from decentralization. You see? It's demanded. It's in law. It's in the act. Huh? Decentralization could come. Huh? When they say we don't have capacity, train us. Build our capacity. If you feel that we don't have capacity, even government, they don't have capacity. But people are been trained to get the capacity. We disagree.
Government wrong.
Yes, we can put we can put them wrong, because if you look at our audit report this the past years, the council be the best council who can produce financial statement. Yeah, I think chairman can be a witness to that. You have seen our report. So
what we can do. That's my
yeah. I think that's a big achievement. That the process has built our capacity. Even now, if you want to update that, we will not need any external support from anything. We can do it locally. We have people here. We have planning and development officers here. We have revenue control staffs here, revenue collection staff here. All the staffs are now well equipped to manage or to update that the strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the chairman and the CEO for Kuntauru Area Council. Some time ago, we were told that you were collecting these car parks, sand mining, but the amount of money that you people realize and the amount of money that the GRA is now realizing is totally different. So maybe this is where they may lie their arguments. And what you said also is right. Capacity is a continuous process. As far as the work is concerned, your capacities need to be built every day. So this is where we will draw the curtain. And once again, we are very, very happy on behalf of the chairman. I would say that we are very happy to at least come here today at the Kuntauru Area Council to at least interact with you people. As earlier on, I told you that this is part of our mandate to come and sit with you people, to discuss with you as a family and as partners in development. This is not a witch hunt program. This is nothing but to develop this country in the best interest of our people. You are elected, we are elected. So we are all here to serve our people, and we believe one of the most important development that is going to our people is the council that is almost giving it to the people. So on that note, I thank you. Okay, I thank you all. And
when you go to do your license, you pay that. So whether your car will run for 1 week or not, so you have already paid. Now, when the idea came of, each council was asked to give its actuals. It collects per annum. I could fully remember BAC presented 9 million that we collect as actual. Other councils presented the same based on their motorable base. Now, when GR and police respectively took over, some councils were receiving 10 times less what they were collecting on their own. So you can see the injustice, injustice exactly. But anyway, we have a long way to go. We would, as I said, as part of their intentions to resolve some of these problems, is to engage the line ministry, is to engage the government. That actually the local councils are backed by a law. And those laws should be harmonized with others, actually, because everybody, when it's a local government, everybody is affected, because everybody comes from a region. So we have the central government and the regional government. So the regional government should be strengthened. The government has a role to play. If in the escalated state, they give us the grants and so on and so on. But these things are not coming, and then they're expecting us to deliver. I think the issue of capacity was an excuse, as he rightly said. If I don't have the capacity, give me this capacity. You can do secondment, you can do a lot of things to make sure we have the capacity. But perhaps well, they have their own reasons. But slowly, that's my slowly, but surely, I think the chairman is very much committed to ensure decentralization moves, to ensure the local councils are equipped. Because should we fail to equip the local councils, actually, we will question our development agenda. Because the regional councils deal with the people. And as I said, before the projects are sustained, the people must feel ownership. The people must be involved. The people must take place in decision making in issues that affects our life. If these things are missing, that's the problem. The other issue of this, the councils are the entry point of every development activity in your region. That is clearly stated in the Act. The VDCs are the entry points. The wards are the entry points, but these are not respected. So that's why we see a lot of projects coming and dying shortly, shortly because the people were not involved. How can you be in Banjo and say we need a toilet for Kaur? Is that realistic? Without involving them? Anyway, Chairman, with your permission.
It's responsibility of paying the required subvention to council. It's not optional. It is required by the Local Government Act, Part 7, Section 128, Subsection 3 of the Local Government Act. Unfortunately, it hasn't been coming. We have taken up this matter with the government. Come 2019 budget, as a ministry, we are able to argue and with them, and we are able to put in something for the councils. Unfortunately, I don't have the statistics with me, but I think it will be about 1 million per council as a starting point. Hopefully, as the years come by, something better will come our way. Regarding cattle tax, a decision was taken recently, and it was observed, and perhaps we will either agree or disagree, that cattle tax be left in the hands of GILMA. The reason being that GILMA has the capacity or the potential to provide the necessary vaccinations for our cattle as and when necessary, as opposed to council. It was for this reason that it was deemed necessary that government leave cattle tax in the hands of GILMA. At the same time, I am happy to announce to this body that pertaining to car park fees, payments have already been made to councils for the past 6 months of the year, and then the remaining 6 months will shortly come, perhaps by end of December. So a decision has also been taken that contrary to what has been happening before, 15% of all collections, whatever is collected, goes to GRA, 10% of that amount goes to the Gambia Police Force. That means the remaining balance of 75% is distributed among councils. That has changed. Yes, the due dimension now is 100% of whatever collections may be made from car park fees will now go to councils. So no more police, no more GRA to benefit from that. Regarding court fines, I think we'll take this up. We are made to understand that court fines, district tribunals are not releasing such funds to the councils. And it's supposed to be, because councils are paying them, either monthly or sitting allowances. But I'm not here to make a ruling, but we look into the matter. Sand mining, as I speak nationally, is even in the hands of private individuals. We remember, if we can refresh back to Faraba incident, is issue of sand mining. In my own opinion, I'm not speaking for government, in my own opinion, I felt that sand mining should either be in the hands of central government and not given it to private individuals. But this is something that is being discussed at that level, and a decision is yet a final decision is yet to be taken as to how. Because the rest of us are waiting on the outcome of the Faraba incident report that is going to guide the government in future sand mining processes. Yes, I think that's what I have for now. I don't want to say something that may not happen, but as a ministry, we share the concerns raised by council. And it is our responsibility to make sure that all the concerns raised here, if not addressed, but will be looked into at that level and will be taken up with appropriate authorities. For example, like Ministry of Finance. Over the years, they have been saying that councils lack the capacity. We have always been challenging them and will continue to challenge them that capacity cannot be the issue. If councils lack capacity, what are you doing about that capacity? Should it be a song that should be sung year in, year out, that councils lack capacity? Something has to be done. If we look at the international arena, all donor partners, be the World Bank, UNDP, IMF, MF, I believe none of them is telling Gambia government, you don't have capacity, so we are not going to give you $3 million. If capacity is the problem in councils, then something has to be done about that capacity. But this part of the act that requires government to provide subvention to council cannot be left like that. Either it will be eroded from the loss of the local government, or let something be done. But in my view, it shouldn't be left like that. We all will agree that over the years, councils' sources of revenue have been eroded due to the existence of newly created semi-autonomous bodies like GT Board, Gilma, etc., etc. But all is to do with policy harmonization. As a ministry, we are going to work with those institutions to make sure we harmonize our laws and our policies so that we know who collects what. Because as we speak, law AAA will authorize the council to collect from Port X. Law governing, say, Gilma will also authorize them to collect from X. So who does the collection? That means all these parties, they all have equal rights to collect. But to address this, we need to harmonize our policies. We need to harmonize our sectoral laws governing governing these issues so that these problems will be addressed once and for all. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, I thank you for your attention. Press. Governor Barry, this is a tradition that when visitors enter any region, it is customary that it pays a courtesy call to the regional governor. And that is why we are here this morning to do exactly that. This select committee, as I said, is the select committee on local government, Ombudsman, and the Independent Electoral Commission. It is the body that has an oversight functions on the overall operations of local government fraternity, particularly our area councils. Their mission this morning to this region and to Janjamburi Area Council is to assess their level of performance, their level of compliance as per the National Audit Report of the Council, as well as the Gambia Public Procurement Authority compliance. And this is primarily their mission here. So from here, the team will head to the area council, Janjambur Area Council, to dialogue with them, to see what their success stories are, what their constraints are, and also to ensure that all the salient points or areas that has been raised during the audit queries are actually looked into by council. Instead of being left like that, efforts made to rectify them? Or is it that nothing has been done to tackle those issues? So in a nutshell, this is the mission that this select committee has embarked upon. On this note, I thank you for accepting. So I conclude here. It's not my responsibility to give a lecture, but just to...
SIS, staff from the GRTS, good morning, everyone. I think it's quite a pleasure to receive you and to have an audience, and I'm grateful that, you paid this courtesy call to me. It's also an opportunity for me to meet some of you. I know them quite some time, but few of you faces I knew. Honorable Jawara, like I said, he has not called me for a very long time, but he will call me. I think this is quite important. It's very, very important as a body that is, given the responsibility of an oversight function. It's very critical that we understand the people that we work with. How do they work? How do they work? And most of these things, are best understood, when we visit them, in order to better understand, what kind of challenges are they confronted with? What, on a daily basis, how do they operate? What is their business process? And how do they do their work? Because as a nation together, we all have one vision, is to move this country forward. And so we can only do that when we support each other, when we put our heads together and support each other in order to be able to move forward. I know, like Honorable has said, perception about area councils, for the most part, is not very positive. But sometimes we need to understand also, how do they work? I know, I have interacted with area council quite some time. I used to run some training programs for some of them before I came in here. And I really recognize and, appreciate the challenges that they are confronted with. And like I always say, the best that we can do for them is really not only to criticize. Yes, they have problems. This is happening, that is happening. They are not doing this, they are not doing that. But that is not enough. The most important thing is to try to understand, what are the problems for these people and how can we support them so that they'll be able to move on. If you go and see how they operate, this is 2018. Majority of them do not have any technology. They don't have any systems in place. So unless, they are supported also so that they'll be able to perform better, because administering taxes and rates is a complicated matter. It's quite complex. And it's very important that those who are given the responsibility to do that are really provided with the required competencies. I come from a similar background, and I've had so much experience in tax administration. I know it is not what people think from outside. It's not usually what obtains inside. Even all of us here, if, for example, you were expected to go and pay your taxes, it was not like deducted from source. At the end of the month, you're supposed to go and take the money and go and pay it. Majority of us won't do it. See what I'm saying? Majority of us won't do it. And it's more especially they are dealing with a very, very informal sector. You see what I'm saying? And these are all issues, these are all challenges to deal with. So I think together, when we put our heads together, we should be able to move forward. And like he said, it's not only to detect the problems, it's to understand what the problems are and come up with practical solutions, that will help them to be able to move forward. Because you see, effective work must be organized. We just cannot be moving around thinking we are working when we are doing nothing. Coming 8 to 4 to office doesn't mean nothing. It's how our work is organized. For example, how many area councils do have a strategic plan? See, when I came here, I saw, Kuntaro Area Council has one. Janjambure Area Council at the time didn't have one. But, thanks to Action Aid, they are currently developing one. And these are some of the issues. How can you do your work if you do not have a strategy? It's not possible. It's just not possible. And so these are all issues that we need to address, because this is how work is. If we don't have that, we are not really going to be focused. So these are areas that we need to support them. Do a strategic plan that is realistic. That's possible. Not something lousy that you're just doing for the sake of doing. See what I'm saying? And then we encourage them to be developing quarterly work plans. See, if you say, for example, you are going to do this and this and this for this year, we want to see you doing quarterly work plans and submitting quarterly report. Let us not wait until at the end of the year and then we come and see what they are doing. What about if there is an error that can't be fixed at the time, and the error is so big that the impact can even be dangerous? Some mistakes cannot be, they are regrettable. So we must put up systems. We must put up systems and encourage them to use these systems. The level of supervision must be effective. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You are doing your job as oversight. You are not responsible for what is happening there on a daily basis. You want to see at the end of the year what they have done, whether they have fulfilled their obligations. Well, there must be a system in place that will be pushing them. And you cannot do that if you do not have a very good strategic plan, a realistic work plan with very realistic indicators. If somebody, I see people, moving in and out. You want to supervise. What are you supervising? If you don't have a work plan, you don't have an indicator. What are you going to look at? If you say I am not performing, what is your evidence that I am not performing? Because you look at me, I am sitting there, drinking my coffee, and then you say I'm not performing. No, you don't have any evidence that I am not performing, because I don't have no work plan, I don't have no indicators, I have nothing to guide my work. So all this way of working is not going to take us nowhere. And this applies to all institutions. And I'm talking like this because you have a great, function. You have a huge responsibility, to make us do the right thing. See? And so this is where, everything begins. I know recently the ministry is doing a great job supporting them very, very, very much. We had a couple of meetings with the ministry to support them, fix the organization, because there are even structural defects, and all these are problems. So if we sit down and say, area council is not doing it, one, they have structural defects. And two, inefficiency practices. You spend $1,000 to chase after $500. That is not efficient. You know what I'm saying? And what is your emulation like? What is your staff complement? If I struggle to pay my staff, that's inefficient. You get what I'm saying? So I think for most of them, they need support. And like I said, the ministry is doing well to address it. And I think we need to address the real problems so that the symptomatic problems will disappear. Because if you if you treat the headache, when it is malaria, you don't clear the parasites, it's not going to go. So we need to look at the root causes of these problems and try to support them. As far as I am concerned, it is all about putting up support systems that will encourage them. Of course, you know, responsibilities go with other things, penalties. I deliberately do the wrong things. You are asked to do A, you do B. There should be reprimands and all that, which I understand. But most importantly, we need to support them so that work is done properly. Unless you know that is being done, they have the right systems in place, they have the strategies in place, they have work plans, they have indicators in place. I think we will be coming back and forth. And I want to thank you very much.
Important we listen, we pay attention, so that the narration can continue from us to those who are not here today. Thank you very much for coming. We hope that you have a successful stay.
The fact that you have been able to make time to receive us, and I want to apologize because our meeting should have been yesterday, but because we were traveling from North Bank End, and it means we have to do 2 or 4 crossings. And each time we cross, we have to incur costs. That is one. And 2, we were late to get to North Bank. We could not complete North Bank on time. So we deem it fitting that we seek activity report, financial statement, and GPPA compliance. You may be aware, either they've called a meeting to inform you, or you may hear it from other sources that your reports were rejected. They were not adopted. And so far, it's the only council that appeared before us, and your reports have been rejected. I know it will not go down well, and it equally didn't go down well with us. Because like I said, we are mandated to carry this function. And in carrying out our function, there is no favoritism. We want to make sure that what is to be should be. We are here to review, since you left Banjul, based on issues that warranted this committee to reject your report. How far have you gone in addressing them? And one thing I keep telling people, and anywhere I go, I will say it. Audits are carried on institutions and not individuals. If individuals are to be audited, I don't think there will be need for us to be reviewing reports, because most people would have left the country.